The story of Atlantis is one that has fascinated generations. Its tale of a powerful, advanced civilization disappearing under the waves of the ocean, continuing to capture the imagination of millions. For over 2,000 years, this mystery has remained unsolved, and questions surrounding the lost city still baffle historians, archaeologists, and mythologists alike. But what happened to Atlantis? Was it a real place, a myth born from ancient storytellers, or something in between? Let's dive into one of the most enduring, unsolved history mysteries of all time: the lost city of Atlantis. The first mention of Atlantis comes from the writings of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. In two of his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, written around 360 BC, Plato describes Atlantis as a large island located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar. According to Plato, Atlantis was a prosperous, highly advanced civilization, wealthy from its vast natural resources and its control over much of the Mediterranean and beyond. Atlantis was said to be a utopian society, with impressive architectural feats, vast armies, and a complex political system. Plato's description paints Atlantis as an incredibly powerful nation, so advanced in both technology and culture that it seemed almost divine. But he also details its downfall. Due to moral decay and greed, the gods punished Atlantis, sinking the island beneath the ocean in a single, cataclysmic day and night of earthquakes and floods. To Plato, Atlantis served as both a cautionary tale about the dangers of hubris and a symbol of human civilization's potential and fallibility. But was this story based on fact, or was it just allegory? Since Plato's writings, countless scholars, explorers, and amateur historians have attempted to find Atlantis. Some believe that the lost city was real, and that its location is hidden somewhere beneath the sea. Others argue that Atlantis is purely a myth, a fictional story with deeper philosophical meanings. One of the most popular theories ties Atlantis to the island of Crete, the heart of the ancient Minoan civilization. The Minoans were known for their advanced knowledge of architecture, art, and trade, and they flourished around the same time Plato described Atlantis. Some have suggested that the catastrophic eruption of the Thera volcano around 1600 BC, which caused widespread destruction and may have sunk several Minoan cities, could be the inspiration behind Plato's tale of Atlantis. The idea is that the memory of this disaster morphed into the myth of a once great civilization lost to the sea. Others point to the Azores, a group of islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, as the possible location of Atlantis. These islands are known for their volcanic activity and could have been home to a civilization that was swallowed up by the ocean long ago. The idea is intriguing, but the lack of concrete evidence leaves this theory as speculative at best. Some theorists have gone even further, suggesting that Atlantis was not just a real city or island, but an entire continent that once spanned the Atlantic Ocean. This theory has been linked to the so-called Pangaea hypothesis, the idea that the continents were once all connected in a supercontinent and later drifted apart over millions of years. Proponents of this theory argue that Atlantis could have been one of the first human civilizations to emerge, with knowledge and technologies far ahead of its time. But where could this landmass have gone? One of the most persistent ideas about Atlantis is that the city or continent was real, and its remains lie hidden beneath the ocean. Over the years, there have been numerous expeditions and searches aimed at uncovering the lost city. However, none have yielded definitive proof of Atlantis's existence. Still, there are interesting archaeological finds that some believe might be related to the ancient city. In the Caribbean, for instance, there are mysterious underwater structures off the coast of Cuba. These structures, discovered in the 2000s by a team of researchers led by explorer Paul Weinsweig, include large stone formations that resemble pyramids and other structures. Some proponents of the Atlantis theory have suggested that these formations could be remnants of the lost city, buried beneath the ocean's surface for millennia. Similarly, near the Canary Islands, researchers have found unusual underwater formations that appear to resemble the remnants of ancient structures, leading to speculation that they might be part of Atlantis. While these discoveries are fascinating, there is little consensus in the scientific community about their true origin. Most experts agree that natural processes, such as volcanic activity and erosion, are more likely to explain these formations than the existence of an ancient city. The lack of physical evidence for Atlantis remains one of the primary challenges in proving its existence. As it stands, no archaeological site has been definitively linked to the lost civilization. If Atlantis was not a real place, why did Plato write about it? There are several theories that suggest that Plato's story was not a historical account, but rather a philosophical allegory designed to convey moral lessons. Some scholars argue that Atlantis was a metaphor for the ideal society and its eventual fall from grace. Plato was, after all, a philosopher interested in the nature of ideal governance and the flaws of human nature. In this context, Atlantis could be seen as a cautionary tale about the dangers of overreaching ambition and the hubris of rulers who believe they are invincible. Others argue that Plato's Atlantis story may have been based on real events that he either misinterpreted or exaggerated. It's possible that Plato, who was influenced by older Greek myths and stories, took fragments of historical events, such as the fall of the Minoan civilization or the destruction of ancient cities, and wove them into a more elaborate tale. In this sense, Atlantis could be a distorted memory of a lost civilization or a real event that became mythologized over time. In the centuries following Plato's writings, the story of Atlantis became a symbol for the search for lost knowledge and civilizations. The idea of a highly advanced society that was lost to the sea sparked the imaginations of explorers, scientists, and romantics alike who longed to uncover the secrets of the past. From the 16th century onwards, many theorists and adventurers proposed locations for Atlantis, ranging from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean to Antarctica. But despite the many theories and the passionate search for Atlantis, none have been able to present definitive proof that it ever existed. Whether real or fictional, the story of Atlantis has had a profound impact on culture and history. Over the centuries, it has inspired countless works of literature, art, and even modern-day movies and television shows. The idea of a lost, advanced civilization that existed long before recorded history taps into a deep-seated human fascination with the unknown and the mysterious. The story has also influenced modern-day pseudoscience and alternative history theories. Some claim that Atlantis was the cradle of all human civilization, a place where advanced technology and spiritual wisdom were first developed. Others argue that the lessons of Atlantis can be applied to today's society, a warning against the dangers of environmental destruction, greed, and political corruption. Many modern conspiracy theories also tie Atlantis to ideas about extraterrestrial life and ancient astronauts. Some suggest that the technology of Atlantis was so advanced that it could only have been given to them by beings from another world. These theories, though speculative, continue to fuel the enduring allure of the Atlantis mystery. Despite the centuries of exploration, investigation, and theorizing, the mystery of Atlantis remains unsolved. Whether Atlantis was a real city, a fictional story, or something in between is still up for debate. The search for Atlantis may never end, but its allure continues to captivate the world, challenging us to consider the limits of our understanding and our willingness to embrace the unknown. So what happened to the lost city of Atlantis? Did it sink beneath the waves, or is it still out there, waiting to be discovered? Perhaps the answer lies buried in the depths of the ocean, or maybe it's locked within the pages of ancient stories. For now, the mystery remains, inviting us to dream, explore, and imagine the possibilities of what once might have been. But until we find definitive proof, the question remains: is Atlantis lost to time forever, or is it waiting to be uncovered once and for all? The search continues.